This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. Delighted to be joined with the WBA featherweight champion. Now can finally say that. Leigh Wood, how are we doing?
Well, good, mate. Thanks, flying. I'm on it, mentally, physically, where I need to be. Just ticking down and ticking the days off as they're going off for February 18th.
Deep into camp now. It's a typical question, but how's camp been for you? And would you say this is different to any other one?
Every camp's different, preparation-wise, for preparing for different styles. Without giving too much away, stylistically, they're different for the sparring we need, for the drills we do, in that kind of sense. Sometimes it's quite frustrating because it takes me 12 weeks to get my head around the new game plan and things I'm implementing, things I'm drilling. Finally get it, fight, get it off, come back to the gym, and then it's something new again. And it takes me another 12 weeks to get my head around that. But no, look, I'm where I need to be. I'm flying, I'm confident. Just like I said, we're just ticking down now, ticking the days down until fight night.
How would you say, going into a training camp, how did you prepare for someone like Lara, who's, this sort of wild Mexican brawler in a way?
Word in there, wild. There's always things they like to do. There's always things they're good at, there's always things they're bad at. So it's down to my team to show me them things, which they've done. Where and what to do when I see them things, pretty much. And we'll just go out there and do it. That's a very basic way of putting it, but that's basically what it is.
With this being a rescheduled date, was there ever a worry where you might not get this fight again? And does it feel better now that you've finally got this fight again?
No, as soon as I picked up the injury back last August, September, there's no doubt in my mind that it'll get rescheduled. There's never a conversation about who I was going to fight after that. There's never Eddie rang me, what do you want to do? That never happened. As soon as I spoke to Eddie, it was like, when can we get this rescheduled? That was the only thing that was on my mind, and here we are.
With this being Lara, with this being rescheduled, do you feel like this is extra personal now, especially with the first date? There was Needle there originally, then the first date fell out, and after his fight he kept saying he was talking a lot. Do you feel like this is extra, a little bit special, pushing them extra reps out?
For sure, he's made it personal. He said I faked my injury. And people read that and believe that. So he wants to talk shit, then you have to pay the consequences. He said all the English are running away scared of him, chickens or something. I picked him. This is voluntary defence. I chose to fight him, and he's going to find out why on fight night.
I was going to ask you about that. After his fight, he said, Leigh Wood he said he was injured, but I saw things on Instagram and it weren't true. When you get your integrity questioned like that, how do you sort of react to something like that?
I just dismissed it. Does he really think if I faked an injury, I'd post something on my Instagram? I was doing some rehab. I think it was about 4 or 5 weeks later. First time I could do a bicep curl with the band, and I just put I'm using my arm again. I couldn't wait to use my hand. I couldn't wait to show everyone, look, my arm's all right. I'm doing some band work. The first thing I could do. So it's just daft, isn't it? Like I said, I chose to fight him. And I've pretty much rescheduled it as soon as I possibly could. What the first available date that Eddie could get, but it wasn't so much him saying that that was more of the disrespect to people reading it and believing it. So they have to pay for that.
So I was going to say, because I think the WBA came out and they asked for proof of the injury. When these things are going on, how frustrating is that for you when you're clearly injured, but everyone wants to find every excuse to prove that you weren't?
Yeah, but it's like they do it for views and numbers. Like the WBA tweeted something and said, we're waiting for proof still. And then they said we're still waiting for proof, but the proof was sent days before that tweet. And then they never tweeted and said, hey, we've received proof. So it never got thinking for weeks and weeks and weeks. But people were still thinking, well, they've still not got it, but they did have it, and it's one of them. It's a bad time anyway. And you train, you've done your bulk of your camp. It was around this stage when I got injured, about 3 weeks out. You needed 3 weeks full rest, so it's frustrating anyway. Never mind to see all the people online saying, you got no balls, you pulled out, you faked, and I chose to fight him. I picked to fight him. I said, oh, why would I pick to fight him and pull out and fake it? It's just ludicrous, but. He's talked shit now, and he has to pay for it on fight night.
Talking about the WBA, Santa Cruz obviously vacated his belt. How good is that this whole situation's finally got cleared? Where Santa Cruz, clearly you weren't going to come down to the weight, and this whole situation has been resolved, and rightfully so. You hold the WBA belt.
It don't make me feel any different, When I won the world title back in August 21, that was me world champion. He'd not boxed at the time for 3 years. By the time this situation had been sorted, it's been 4 years not boxed at the weight. So you tell me who's world champion. It don't take a rocket science to work that out. But at the same time, it's good for the online trolls, it's good for the fans, it's good for the organisations that are reporting, and they can say, he's declared world champion now. And also, moving forward into unification fights and moving into these big fights, it just makes that fight that little bit bigger, knowing that all that mess is sorted out.
Was it ever frustrating though, where he hadn't fought at the weight for 4 years, and then decided when you hold the WBA regular, hold on a minute, he's going to fight Ray Vargas in the unification? Where was it hold on a minute, I'm here, why aren't you fighting me?
Yeah, it was, and that's why we kind of appealed it, and that the fight didn't happen, and Eddie got on it straight away. And we wanted that Santa Cruz fight. We wanted it next, but he's out of the picture now. He's not making that weight again, so we're looking forward now. At the time last year, before my injury, before the Lara fight, we wanted Warrington, but Warrington had the mandatory, so the next best thing was get Lara because he beat Warrington. That was my mindset, and that's still my mindset now. Lara fight, get the win, and move forward to my dream fight, and hopefully, touch wood, all being well, move to the City Ground next.
You just mentioned Warrington there. Do you think that fight is still as big, even though he doesn't hold the world title anymore?
It is big, yeah. It doesn't really matter to me who's in the other corner when I get that City Ground fight. That is just the box I want to take, fulfill my dream. But like I said, I'm not looking past Lara. I'm not looking past this fight and planning my next 4 fights. I'm solely concentrating on Lara, but I'm confident getting the win. And then and next, after that, I want to be the first person to headline at the City Ground, whether that's Warrington in the other corner, which would sell out. It needs to be a big fight. I think that would sell out. Or whether that's Michael Conlan, if he can pick up a world title, that's a massive fight. Or even Lopez. It doesn't matter to me. It's irrelevant who's in the other corner.
Talking about the Nottingham fight and the City Ground fight, how special is it to be this hometown hero that you are and really putting the city on your back and, flying the colours of Nottingham?
I think it's the opposite for me. I'm not carrying them. They're picking me up, they're lifting me up, they're turning out for me, spending the hard-earned money. They're making the noise, literally picking me up off the canvas in round 1 in my last fight. And it's not a team sport, but it's a movement where everyone's helping me, everyone's behind me. There's a lot of love for my city, and they do help me win these fights. They do help me get this win over the line, and they're going to help me on February 18th as well.
How do you process the sort of nerves and the excitement that comes into fighting in your hometown? Do you feel like there's positive stuff and there's negative consequences where you think too much into it?
I don't really think like that. I'm probably got a crazy mindset, or I don't know, but I've always been a ballsy little kid. Michael Conlan said a few things like, you never boxed in front of your home crowd, you never experienced that pressure. Do I look like I was crumbled under pressure? I thought I thrived, and that's the kind of kid that I am. When I was younger, we used to go out as groups of friends, and I'd always be the first person off the ramp, the first person up the tree, the first person off the rock jump. I'm just always that ballsy kid, and I thrive on it. I thrive on the adrenaline. I love stuff like motocross and anything like that. And boxing on fight night is what I live for, and I love it. And the competitive nature combined with that ballsiness, I guess, is the reason I've got where I am.
I spoke to Ben earlier, done an interview, and we talked about the no easy fights and everything like that. Do you feel like it's just down to your mentality, where since young you've just been the ballsiest kid, and no matter who's in front of you, you're taking anyone on?
I think it is. I was always really small up until I was about 17, 18. I remember when I went out when I was 18, I gave him my ID, and he went, "You're not 18." I was like, "I'm 18." I'm 18. But even when I was 16, 15 at school, no one could believe my age. I was really small, so I was always around bigger people. My brother was a year older. We just hang around with his mates, and they was all older than me, and so I was always not as strong, not as big. But like I said, I've always been the ballsiest. I've always done what they did, and I guess growing up, maybe that played a part. Especially when we went boxing, and I'm smaller, younger. but picked it up quite quick and loved it, enjoyed the difficulty of it. I'm not sure, it's a hard question to answer, but I am how I am. I think how I think, and maybe that's contributed.
You were talking about sort of like you was always a small kid in that. I'll say like in your past couple of fights, in the Kanju fight, the Conor fight, and even this fight, people could regard you as an underdog. Do you thrive on the underdog status? Would you say?
Yeah, I guess.
So do you look at it as disrespect or?
No, I love it. I love when people tweet me and put like for the Zukam fight, you're gonna get your head used as a speedball. Retweet. I'll come back to that. The Conor fight, is too skillful, it's too good for you. How are you going to beat someone that's better than you, that's two-time Olympian, world amateur gold medalist? How are you going to beat him? Okay, beat him. Same with this fight, Mauricio Lara, dangerous puncher. If Conor put you down, what's he going to do to you? Okay, retweet it. I'll come back to that. That's the mindset. I don't let anything fuck with me. Nothing. I'm not a sponge. You can't be a sponge in this industry. You can't be a sponge if you're in the public eye, I believe. If you're quite, you can't read things and absorb it. You just got to read it, smirk, brush it off, let it bounce off you, because it can mess with you. If you read into it too much and you believe what people say, there's only one person you should believe, and that's yourself. And that's how you get to that level. You just believe in yourself. When I went 10 years not getting a big fight, I believed in myself. When I got beat, I believed in myself. When I had injuries and I got to 30 years old without even winning a prestigious title, before I won the Commonwealth, not won anything, 30 years old, people messaging me, look, you're 30, I think you should just get a job and call it a day. No, I believed in myself. And that same mindset, that same belief, when I had nothing, when I was going nowhere, is the same mindset I've got now when I am somewhere and I've got some money and I've going into these fights, nothing's changed.
Absolutely, that's some class words there, man. February 18th, what can we expect from Leigh Wood?
Expect the same thing as you always expect, I don't think I've been in a boring fight ever. I always lay it all on the line. But more importantly, I stick to the game plan. I do what I have to do to get the victory over the line. And also, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's bought a ticket, because we're nearly at a sellout, nearly hit 9,000. I think there's a few hundred left. Thank you for the support. From my own city, from up and down the country, it's not just my own city. People are coming from up and down the country, and people are coming from Ireland as well, which is good. Sending tickets over there. So yeah, massive thank you to you guys. You know what to expect from me. Let's do it.
Leigh, honestly, it's been a pleasure talking to you, mate, and all the best for February 18th. Thank you, mate. Cheers.